Here's something most struggling consultants get wrong. We think our biggest problem is not having enough clients. But what if the real issue is taking on the wrong ones? My guest today, Andy Sherman, learned this lesson the hard way. Early in his consulting practice, he took projects outside his specialty because he needed the revenue. Sound familiar? The result? Miserable experiences for both him and the client. Now, after building multiple six-figure consulting practices, Andy says the single most important piece of advice he'd give his younger self is this: qualify your clients properly. Not just whether they can do business with you, but whether you want to do business with them. My name is AJ Riedel. This is Thriving Through, the podcast where each week I have real conversations with seasoned, successful, self-employed consultants about what it really takes to build a sustainable, profitable, and fulfilling consulting practice. Today's conversation with Andy Sherman is packed with practical systems you can implement right away. Andy has an unusual story. He's been self-employed as a consultant 3 separate times. He built his first successful practice to $30,000 a month in billings. Then he got recruited back into corporate leadership by one of his clients, and then returned to consulting when that company was acquired. In this episode, Andy shares the exact referral partnership system that became his most reliable source of clients, why authentic relationship building beats digital marketing formulas, and how he rebuilt his consulting business after a year away. If you're tired of the feast or famine cycle and want to build a consulting practice with predictable revenue and clients you actually enjoy working with, this conversation will give you a roadmap. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is Andy Sherman. Welcome to the podcast, Andy.
Well, thanks, AJ. Great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. And you have a fascinating story about self-employment twice. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what was your path to self-employment, to being a consultant specifically?
Yeah. I'll modify that because I'm not sure you knew that I probably even had three times at it.
Okay.
So over 20 years ago, I did consulting for about 6 months. And what I realized back then was I just had a real yanker or motivation to get back and get operational and work with a company, which is what I'd always done prior to that. So it was a taste of consulting and a taste of independence, but I wasn't ready for it. And then fast forward, I really started my practice 5+ years ago. And that's when I left corporate. I was gladly embraced the whole self-employment and being an independent consultant, and started building a practice, and actually felt pretty good about what I was able to do in terms of building a practice, gaining clients, and providing a lot of service and value. One of my
And you got your revenue up to quite a bit. I mean, you
yeah,
were
yeah,
around 30K a month,
yeah,
as I recall.
yeah,
Yeah.
30K or so billings. So yeah, that's certainly one measure of success. And I was about as being an independent and doing consulting, and it was essentially trading time for money. I was doing about as much as I could or wanted to handle at that time. But coincidentally, I was working with one client, and they leaned on me, I'll say, very persuasively to join them full time. And I resisted because I liked what I was doing so much. But we kept having conversations, and I realized that I really liked the team. I really liked the the company and what they were doing, and I believed in it, and ultimately decided to move into a full-time role. And so that was great, very rewarding on a number of levels. And then we sold the company, and that was, in some regards, a goal or a known outcome. So not a huge surprise. And at that point of selling the company, it was bought by a much larger company, and I really did not want to be part of a billion-dollar kind of organization. That's way, way in my distant past. So I hung up the shingle again, and here I am now, again with a nice practice and doing the stuff I like and working with the kind of people I like too. And that's really uh, my nirvana, I guess.
I love it. So how long have you been back in self-employment?
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now so you had a period, how long was your period that you were at the company?
All told, I worked with the company for about a year.
Okay.
Start to when we sold it and wound down my interaction with the company.
How hard was it to get your company back up and running after a year of hiatus, essentially?
Uh, it's funny. I took a while, I would say, and then all of a sudden it didn't. So I was exploring options of what I might do. I had some thoughts about re-envisioning my practice, and I did do some repositioning, but it's almost like I really made a decision to refocus on what I'd been doing. And not stop kind of tweaking everything and just getting back to what I knew and what I was good at. And literally the day I made that decision, I got a call from one of my old clients, and I was back working with them, and then the business started building back again. So I had a couple months, I guess, of pause there, but then it picked up pretty quickly after that.
So back the first time you went self-employed,
Yeah,
tell me about your transition from you were leading B2B sales teams,
right.
and then you become self-employed and you're having to do your own business development.
Yeah,
Tell me
yeah,
about the transition.
yeah, sure. Well, in my career, a big chunk of my career, especially when I started, I was in sales. I got into sales leadership. Ultimately, I ran a couple of companies as CEO. So I had various experience, but I had a lot of sales experience. So the idea of selling wasn't foreign to me, but how to build a consulting business really was. And I was very fortunate because when I went out on my own, I joined up with Sales Acceleration, which is a group of fractional VP of sales or fractional CROs. And as part of the ramp up with Sales Acceleration, they basically taught us, me and others who participated in the program, exactly how to build this kind of fractional sales leadership business. And for me, that education was eye-opening, and it was also really impactful. And I feel that it shortened my cycle to getting clients by about 6 months. I think I could have gotten there, but it would have taken me a lot longer. And for me, what I learned was doing a multi-pronged approach. And for me, what worked the most, the prong or the strategy that worked the most or the best was referral partners and building a referral network. And so that's something I had never really had to do in my B2B sales experience or background. Uh, but it it's something I enjoy doing. I did then, and I still do, and that's been far and away my best source of business and leads.
I'm interested. Tell me a little bit more about the your referral system,
Yeah,
sort of the nitty gritty of how it works.
yeah. You know, all of this stuff is kind of common sense, and it's if I describe it, you might sit there saying, kind of duh, but but uh, again, I didn't really think about things this way, so it for me it was all enlightening. So the first thing is to figure out uh, who in this ecosystem of potential referral partners who has access and influence with the buyer that I'm going after. And by the way, I will coach my customers or clients the same thing as they're building referral networks. So uh, who has access, who has influence, and then systematically go after those folks. So and go after them, meaning connect with them on LinkedIn, for example, get meetings set up, approach those meetings very much in a reciprocity or kind of a give to get mindset that, you know, I think you may be a resource for my clients, and oh, by the way, if I'm one for yours, that's great. Let's figure out how we can collaborate. And uh, so I realized pretty early on that executive coaches, business coaches who were working with CEOs or owners of small businesses, they were my best referral source far and away. That's where I got the best quality leads. And then there are other people in the ecosystem that I found were also uh, good contacts. So the fractional world. So there are a lot of us fractionals out there, and if there's a fractional CMO or a fractional CFO and they have access to that owner, then they could be a great lead source. So kind of identifying these potential partners and then systematically do an outreach. And early in the early days, my goal was to have 10 uh, meetings with referral partners per week. So I was doing just heavy networking and outreach. And there are other approaches to the networking groups and organizations and any environment where you can uh, get together face to face, ideally with other people in this ecosystem. Those all produce those kind of referral partners.
And then how do you keep the relationship going with them? Because it's one thing to be on a meeting, coffee or a Zoom call and say, yeah, let's work together. But it's kind of a loose alignment of when
Yeah,
when an
yeah,
opportunity comes up. How do you keep those conversations going and kind of nurture them, remind them that you're
yeah.
here?
Well, and I think nurture is the right word. So I think that uh, again, there can be a systematic approach to it. There are folks who really clearly where the alignment is great, the chemistry, the alignment with the potential clients, maybe complementary business interests, and so forth. So those kind of rise to the top as the people that need the most nurturing, or the uh, so. Uh, I, my sales background will show here, but there when thinking about a referral network program, uh, there are A's, B's, and C's. And A's you want to stay in contact with frequently, monthly, every other month, something like that. B's are maybe less frequent, but still pretty high potential. So every 6 months, something like that. And the C's are touch base annually or newsletters, that kind of thing. So I think it is important to prioritize and to segment your time uh, and work it appropriately. So now what's interesting is my first run through this program or this system, the people I first thought might be my best referral partners didn't always prove to be. So over time, you met other people, you developed a deeper trust just based on interactions and conversations. So it can shift, and that's okay. Uh, having a systematic approach to it, I think, is pretty important.
And then when you do say your tiers, do you typically have a scheduled meeting with them? Do you just call to touch base? What do you say to them when you follow up?
Yeah, and this is almost like sales. Uh, it really is important, and it's also more productive for everybody if you are systematic. If you are having a meeting, and schedule the next meeting. So that's the easiest way to do it. Is when you want to talk to somebody and you don't want it to go too long, then you schedule the meeting on the spot, and then you've got your next meeting a month out or something like that. So I think that's pretty important, and especially as you're really getting to know everybody, it's hard to really build trust on for example, what most of us are doing these days are Zoom intro calls,
Mhm.
and they're very efficient and they're great, but they lack some of the contact and all that stuff. So it's important to have those follow-ups and kind of some frequency, but to build trust over time.
You were doing something, you have your own clients, but have also partnered with another company.
Hmm.
Tell me how that came about and how you decided to partner.
Yeah, yeah. I have a couple of partnerships. One is with a company called Whitman Advisory, and Whitman is basically a group of advisors, independent advisors, who have gotten together. The company started and really developed a lot of strength working with CPAs. So CPAs for staffing and for consulting services and for M&A. And I spent a lot of time in my corporate life in the MSP world, the managed service provider world of the tech sector. And I have a focus on MSP customers. Makes sense given my background. And so Whitman found me basically as they were looking to expand this model from CPA into other sectors like MSP. So that is what led to a partnership with Whitman, where we're really mirroring the same kind of services, staffing, where there's a strategic lending arm, there's a piece that does the fractional CFO business, and then the M&A and consulting. So I'm really the consulting lead for the MSPs at Whitman. So that's been a great partnership with a real good collection of people. I developed another partnership with Strategic Impact Partners. The principal there, Art Stewart, and Art. Art and I are kind of kindred spirits in that we both have a real focus on go to market. And mine comes from really my sales background. So how, energizing and accelerating growth through sales go to market. Art has a very much a marketing background, and we have a lot of kind of overlap and but common interests. So we have been teaming up and developing some go-to-market accelerators for clients. And this is not an industry specific thing, but we are working with small and mid-sized companies who are stuck in their go-to-market and need this acceleration package. And we're going in and providing services, many of which are based around AI. So incorporating AI into this go-to-market. And AI is the buzzword. Everybody's doing AI this, AI that. Our approach is AI is a phenomenal tool, but we're not doing it just for a science experiment or we're beyond the proof of concept or experimentation. We're using AI to drive revenue. So that's some of the unique pieces that we offer there. So 2 strategic partnerships.
I want to switch gears
Sure.
and talk about the future.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, before we talk about the future, when we were talking, I talked a little bit about your revenue, your first time round, and you said that revenue is one measure of success.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define success?
Well, I think that because it's all dependent on clients, it's really how a lot of it is how the client defines it. But so I really like helping clients, especially with strategy. I find a lot of my clients are owners of the small, medium-sized business. That tends to be my primary contact. So I work with a lot of owner-operated businesses. And the typical scenario there is the owner's wearing all the hats. It's owner-led sales, it's owner-led operation, owner-led everything, owner-led to the point that the owner may not have a life and is could be struggling. So part of my success is helping them really lessen that dependence on themselves. And that is a path to their own independence or their own potentially exit. That's a lot of where these companies are going. So I feel like I help, yes, revenue, but what we're really doing is help building sales teams, building go-to-market strategies that are scalable, repeatable, predictable, and that don't all depend on that owner. And so we're improving all the financials, but we're making the company more valuable, and we're hopefully even having an impact on the quality of life.
A bigger vision than just helping them accelerate their revenue.
Yeah.
Are you where you expected to be?
It's not that I'm not a planner or anything, but I don't think I ever had an expectation, or if I go back even 10 years ago, I don't think I had this expectation. I had that taste over 20 years ago of this independent thing could be good, but at that time it wasn't for me. Now it is. So I guess I had a little inkling, but I don't think I'd really ever planned out. So I can't say that this was like part of a master plan. This is just something that I don't know if I fell into or I evolved into, but I will say that I'm very happy to have gotten here.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years, yourself and your company?
Yeah. Well, I think that I will be retired.
Okay.
As part of the company. So I think in 3 to 5 years, I'll be retired. And I haven't actually pinned a date down on retirement. And I am by many measures I could retire, but I like what I'm doing, and so I don't feel compelled to retire. What I do feel compelled to do is keep. I don't have to grow the company, but I have to grow the business, if you will, and the depth of the business. So this year, I've invested a lot of my time into AI. So I'm not just doing it. I'm learning it, and I've done a couple of classes. I now can build AI tools for my clients. So I'm doing stuff that I had no idea I would be doing, but I like doing it, and it's the kind of stuff I can see doing for a while. So on the one hand, there's retirement, and the other is just like keep growing, keep learning, and enjoy doing it on the way.
This I I feel like AI really kind of hit critical mass in the last year or two. I mean, it's been around and people have been saying AI is coming, and
Yeah.
it all of a sudden it's like it's here,
Mhm.
and you know you got to jump on it because you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're right. It has been around. In the 90s, I was in the software business, and I worked with a guy who, I'll never forget this, because he worked for an AI company in the early 90s.
And
Uh,
everybody's saying, "What's AI?"
yeah, yeah. And the hardware wasn't powerful enough at the time, and all this AI technology and everything else hadn't developed, so it didn't really, the company didn't make it. but but that's how long this concept's been around, and now it's being realized, and it has, I think, as you said, it's hit the inflection point, and it's hit it faster than any technology that's ever been here, and it's but that's what we've seen, right? Every new wave of technology, it hits faster and bigger than the one before it. So the last one was internet, which was huge, in terms of its impact, and the AI impact is going faster and bigger.
Yes, bigger and more pervasive.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. For
Um,
much good, and some concerns out there too, for sure.
yeah. Well, like every new technology,
Yeah,
I mean, there were a lot of doomsayers with the internet when it first came out, and
yeah.
and there are a lot of positives to it. But I can't imagine. I mean, when I'm traveling and don't have internet access.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true. Yeah, we're going out of the country to Guatemala next month, and uh, my wife and I and her family have been doing this for a while, and there was no internet or anything. There were no cell phone. Now everybody in Guatemala I don't know if it still is, but it was just a few years ago the third poorest country in the world. But they have internet in our uh, our hotel and everything else. So it's, yeah, you depend on it today.
As we start to come to the end of the podcast, I have a couple, I call them the rapid fire wrap up questions.
Okay, I'll try to be rapid.
The first one is, what book, podcast, or other resource has been most valuable to you in your consulting practice?
Hmm. Um, well, in my consulting practice, actually, I'll give you a podcast. I wish this was still around. The uh, the marketing book podcast was just phenomenal, and the guy who did it, he just shut it down last year. But he would read and review marketing and sales books, so all the stuff that was kind of near and dear to my heart, and have interviews with the authors. And so I would listen to it and always learn something, and many times said, I got to read that book. So that podcast led to a lot of other books, and that's had a big impact because I've been able to incorporate a lot of that into my practice.
What book has had the most impact of all of those or others?
Yeah, um, I the Delta model which I'm not sure is even in print anymore, but it was written by a MIT professor, and it's a whole treatise on strategy, but it relates very much to what I do, and I learned a tremendous amount from that, and I have been able to apply that to my practice as well. And Arnaldo Hacks was the author, and his notion is the purpose of business and the purpose of strategy is to bond with customers, and everything flows out of that. And I love it. I love it.
I like the concept of bonding that goes beyond just being transactional.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another question, what is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you were first starting out as a self-employed consultant?
Well, I think people may have been giving me this advice, but you don't always hear it. I think that it really is important to qualify your clients properly, and not just in terms of whether they can do business with you, but whether you want to do business with them. And I think we all, when we're starting out, we kind of take whatever is out there, and that's not always the best strategy. So I've been fortunate. I've had great client experiences, but I think that doesn't mean it was always a perfect match in terms of what I offered and what the client needed. So that being selective is good for everybody.
It's, yes, important. When I was a consultant, I specialized in a very narrow niche of the housewares industry.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, somebody approached me to do a project in a different industry that I wasn't familiar with. And I thought, market research is market research.
Yeah.
It was it was a failure. I mean, he was not happy. I was not happy. It was really a miserable experience because it was, it's outside my specialty, but I'm going to try it anyway. And I think if we do that, we end up having a story to tell of a mistake we made when we do that.
Yeah. And that very parallel experience for me. So yes, I think
And now the final question, and the most important question. How do listeners, if they want to find out more about you and your business, how do they find you?
Well, my website is apexgrowthadvisors.net, and that has all my contact info. So that's a good way to find me and start.
Okay, apexgrowthadvisors.net.
Yeah.
And we will also put that in the show notes.
Okay, and Andy Sherman on LinkedIn. So
okay,
that's another good way.
All right. Well, Andy, it has been wonderful talking to you today.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, AJ. I enjoyed it.
And for all you listeners out there, until next time, keep thriving through. Andy's journey reminds us that building a profitable consulting practice isn't about following a perfect linear path. It's about creating systems that work for you and being selective about the work you take on. 3 key takeaways from today's conversation. First, referral partnerships can be your most reliable source of qualified leads if you invest in authentic relationships with people who serve your ideal clients. Second, rebuilding a consulting practice is possible even after time away, especially when you return to what you know and stop trying to reinvent everything. And third, being selective about your clients isn't a luxury. It's essential for building a sustainable practice that doesn't drain your energy and confidence. If you're ready to move beyond the feast or famine cycle, start evaluating your current client. Oh, it's over there. Are you working with people who energize you, or are you taking projects just because they're available? Andy's advice about qualifying clients properly, asking not just about whether they can work with you, but whether you should work with them, might be the permission you need to start being more strategic. You can connect with Andy at apexgrowthadvisors.net or find him on LinkedIn. All the resources we mentioned today, including the books and programs Andy recommends, are in the show notes. Until next time, keep thriving through.